Another Friday night in paradise. My wife's in her natural habitat. Neon lights, vodka, and men with too much cologne. I'm Nick Sullivan, 38 years old, maintenance manager at Riverside Community College, and apparently worth less than a $7 cocktail. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. The music at the lantern pounded like a migraine, all bass and synthesized garbage that made my teeth ache. Becca swayed at the bar, her sequined dress catching the strobing lights as she threw her head back, laughing at something some guy in an expensive suit had whispered in her ear. Her phone buzzed constantly on the sticky bar top, notifications from her Instagram followers eating up whatever manufactured drama she'd posted earlier. "I swear to God," she announced to anyone within earshot, her voice carrying that particular pitch it reached after her fourth martini, "I will trade my husband for a cocktail." The crowd around her erupted in laughter. The suit, I'd seen him here before, some local real estate hotshot who drove a BMW and wore his sunglasses indoors, grinned like he'd won the lottery. But it was the bartender who caught my attention. Lana. Mid-20s, dark hair pulled back in a messy bun, tattoo of a raven on her forearm. She'd been working here for about 6 months, and unlike most of the staff, she actually seemed to have a brain between her ears. She looked directly at me, then back at Becca, and smiled. Not the fake customer service smile she gave the drunk college kids. This one had teeth. "Deal, honey," Lana said, sliding a fresh martini across the bar to Becca. "Nick, come warm me up." The laughter stopped. Becca's face went through several interesting color changes. Confusion, then anger, then something that might have been panic. But she was committed now, wasn't she? The joke had to keep being funny. "Oh my God, yes!" Becca squealed, grabbing the martini like a lifeline. "Take him. He's all yours." She threw her arms around the suit, pressing her body against his in a way that left absolutely nothing to the imagination. Her lips found his, and suddenly my wife was making out with a stranger in front of half the town while her phone recorded it all on live stream. I felt something die inside my chest. Not love, that had been on life support for months. This was something else. The last drop of whatever had been keeping me civilized. Lana leaned across the bar, close enough that I could smell her perfume over the stench of spilled beer and desperation. "You deserve better," she said quietly, her eyes never leaving mine. I watched Becca grind against her new prize, watched the crowd cheer them on, watched my marriage dissolve in real time for the entertainment of drunk strangers and internet followers. The suit's hands roamed places that used to be reserved for me, and Becca moaned like she was auditioning for a porn movie. "That's not gin in my glass," I muttered, more to myself than to Lana. "What is it then?" she asked. I drained the drink in one burning gulp. The last drop of my patience. Lana reached under the bar and slipped me a folded napkin. When I opened it, her handwriting was surprisingly neat. "I know what's up. You want payback?" L. I looked up at her, and for the first time in months, I smiled. Really smiled. "Always," I said. The house felt different when I got home alone at midnight. Not empty. Becca had left plenty of evidence of her existence scattered around like breadcrumbs in a fairy tale. Her makeup covered the bathroom counter in a Jackson Pollock painting of foundation and lipstick. Her clothes formed a trail from the front door to the bedroom, where she'd apparently changed into her hunting outfit before heading out to bag her prey. But it was quiet. No reality TV blaring from the living room, no constant ping of social media notifications, no stream of consciousness commentary about whatever microdrama was currently consuming her attention span. I poured myself 3 fingers of bourbon and sat down at the kitchen table with my laptop. Becca wasn't exactly a master of digital security. She'd left herself logged into everything on our smart TV, and her cloud backup synced automatically. Amazing how much someone could reveal about themselves when they thought nobody was watching. The folder labeled Girls' Night Out contained enough material to end several marriages. Videos of Becca and her friends Jules rating the men at various bars like they were judging livestock. Screenshots of dating app conversations where she'd been shopping for upgrades while I was at work. Messages to Jules about how boring I was, how she deserved more excitement, how she was too young to settle. But it was the subfolder labeled RS that made my blood turn to ice water. An RS real estate suit. The BMW driver from the bar. 3 months of videos. 3 months of my wife documenting her affair like she was making a nature documentary. Hotel rooms, his apartment, even our bedroom when I was working late shifts. She'd filmed herself having sex with him in our bed on our anniversary while wearing the lingerie I'd bought her for Christmas. The most recent video was from this afternoon. Becca, naked and breathless, looking directly into the camera. I can't wait to get rid of Nick, she panted. He's so pathetic. Did you see how he just stood there tonight? Like a kicked dog. After tonight, everyone will know what a loser he is. The suit's voice came from off camera. What if he doesn't take the hint? Then I'll make it more obvious. I want him gone, Richard. I want you, and I want his house, and I want everyone to see that I traded up. Richard, so the suit had a name. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark for a long time, listening to the house settle around me. 20 years I'd been a maintenance man. 20 years of fixing things that other people had broken. Pipes, electrical systems, heating units, broken doors, shattered windows. I was good at it because I understood how things worked, how they fit together, and most importantly, how to take them apart. My phone buzzed. A text from Lana. Club closes at 2. Rooftop access through the fire escape. If you want to talk. I looked around at the wreckage of my life. The photos on the mantle of happier times that now looked like evidence of an elaborate con job. The wedding ring on my finger that had apparently been nothing but a prop in Becca's performance. The mortgage papers on the kitchen counter for the house she wanted to steal. Then I grabbed my keys and headed back into the night. The fire escape behind the lantern was exactly where Lana had said it would be. I climbed 3 flights of rusted metal stairs to find her sitting on the edge of the rooftop, legs dangling over the side, smoking a cigarette and watching the last of the drunk crowd stumble out onto Main Street below. Thought you might not come, she said without turning around. Thought about it. I sat down beside her, careful not to look down. Heights had never been my thing. But then I remembered I don't have anywhere else to be. She's still here, you know, your wife. Richard took her to his place about an hour ago. She was pretty drunk, kept talking about how she was finally free and how she was going to start her new life tomorrow. Richard, I repeated. Real estate guy? Richard Blackwood. Sells overpriced condos to college kids' parents. Drives a BMW he can't actually afford. Lives in a downtown loft he uses to impress women half his age. Has a cocaine habit he thinks nobody knows about and a gambling problem that's got him 3 months behind on his car payments. I looked at her. You know a lot about him. Lana smiled, flicking her cigarette into the alley below. I know a lot about everyone who comes through that door. It's part of the job. People tell bartenders things they wouldn't tell their therapists. What do people tell you about me? That you're the guy who fixes everything when it breaks. That you show up on time, do good work, and don't cause drama. That you've been married to a woman who treats you like furniture for 5 years, and everyone's been waiting to see how long you'd put up with it. The words hit harder than I'd expected. Everyone knew? Small town, Nick. Everyone knows everything. The question is what you're going to do about it. I thought about the videos on Becca's cloud drive, about Richard's hands on my wife, about the house I'd been paying for while she planned to steal it from me. I'm going to destroy them, I said quietly. Lana nodded like she'd been expecting that answer. Oh, good. They deserve it. But you need to be smart about it. Emotional revenge is sloppy revenge. You want to hurt them? You need to be surgical. You sound like you've done this before. My dad owns this place, she said, gesturing toward the club below us. I've been watching people destroy themselves here since I was 16. I know how this game works. She stood up, brushing off her jeans. Meet me tomorrow night. Same time. Bring everything you found on her phone. We're going to give your wife the education she deserves. As I climbed back down the fire escape, I could hear music still thumping from inside the club, and I wondered if Becca and Richard were dancing to it in his overpriced loft, celebrating their victory over the pathetic husband who'd finally been discarded. They had no idea the game was just beginning. Saturday morning arrived with the subtlety of a hangover. I woke up alone in my own bed for the first time in 5 years, and the silence was almost peaceful until I remembered why Becca wasn't there. My phone had 17 missed calls from her and 43 text messages that ranged from fake concern, "Where are you? I'm worried," to anger, "Answer your phone now," to panic. People are asking questions about last night. I deleted them all without reading past the first few words. The beauty of being a maintenance manager is that you learn to think systematically. When a heating system breaks down, you don't just replace the broken part. You trace the problem back to its source and fix everything that contributed to the failure. Otherwise, it just breaks again. Becca's social media empire was built on a foundation of lies, and like any structure with a flawed foundation, it wouldn't take much to bring the whole thing crashing down. I started with her sponsors. Becca had somehow convinced 3 local businesses to pay her for Instagram posts, a boutique clothing store, a health food place, and a yoga studio. The contracts were sitting right there in her email, along with the usage rights for all the photos she'd been posting. The yoga studio was particularly interesting. Their contract had a morality clause, standard language about maintaining a positive public image, and family-friendly content. The owner, Sarah Chen, had been very specific about wanting to appeal to committed couples and families seeking wellness together. I wondered how Sarah would feel about paying someone to represent family values while that person was documenting her affair in high definition. The video I chose was from 2 weeks ago, Becca and Richard in his loft, and she was wearing the yoga outfit that Sarah's studio had given her for promotional posts. The audio was crystal clear, Becca talking about how she was so over being married and how she couldn't wait to dump Nick and move in with someone who actually had money. I didn't send the video to Sarah directly. That would have been too obvious, too traceable. Instead, I created an anonymous email account and sent it to the studio's general inquiry address with the subject line, "Thought you should know about your spokesperson." Then I sat back and waited. By noon, Becca's promotional post for the yoga studio had been deleted. By 2 p.m., Sarah had left a voicemail on Becca's phone terminating their partnership effective immediately. By 4 p.m., Becca was calling me in tears. "Nick, you have to come home," she sobbed into the phone. "Something terrible is happening. Someone's trying to ruin my business. I need you." "Funny," I said. "Last night you traded me for a cocktail. Today you need me. How does that work exactly?" "That was just a joke. You know I was drunk. Please, baby, I'm scared. Someone sent Sarah a video." "What kind of video?" The silence stretched long enough that I could hear her breathing change. "I don't know. She wouldn't tell me. She just said she couldn't work with me anymore." "Huh. That's weird. Maybe you should ask Richard. He seems to know a lot about your business." Another silence, longer this time. "How do you know about Richard?" "Small town, Becca. Everyone knows everything. Isn't that what you wanted? For everyone to see you trade up?" She hung up on me. I was still smiling when my phone buzzed with a text from Lana. "Boutique just canceled her too. Word travels fast. Meet me at Murphy's bar at 8. Time for phase 2. Murphy's was the kind of place where the Lanterns crowd went to sober up. Dim lighting, wooden booths that had seen better decades, and a bartender who minded his own business. Lana was waiting in a corner booth with 2 beers and a manila folder. "You've been busy," she said as I sat down. "Just getting started. What's in the folder?" "Richard's financial situation. Turns out he's been living way above his means for months. His car payment is 3 months behind, his rent is 2 months behind, and he owes money to some very unpleasant people." She slid a photograph across the table. Richard shaking hands with a man I recognized. Tony Marconi, who ran book for half the gambling addicts in town. Not exactly the kind of guy you wanted to owe money to. "How did you get this?" "My dad's been in business here for 30 years. He knows everyone, and everyone owes him favors. Tony's been laundering money through the club for years. Dad looks the other way. Tony shares information when asked nicely." I studied the photo. Richard looked nervous, sweaty. Tony looked like he was discussing the weather. "How much does he owe?" $15,000, due Monday." "And if he doesn't pay?" Lana's smile was sharp enough to cut glass. "Let's just say Tony's collection methods aren't covered by the Better Business Bureau. So Richard needs money fast. Desperately, which makes him vulnerable. And desperate people make stupid decisions." I thought about this, turning the beer bottle in my hands. Becca thinks she's trading up to a guy with money, but he's actually broke. Worse than broke. He's about to lose everything. His car, his apartment, possibly his kneecaps. She doesn't know this. Not yet. But she's about to find out. The question is, do we let her discover it naturally, or do we help the process along? I looked at the photo again, at Richard's desperate expression, at the expensive suit that apparently came with expensive problems. "What did you have in mind?" Lana leaned forward, her eyes bright with mischief. "Ever hear of a honey trap?" Sunday morning, Becca finally came home. She looked like she'd been hit by a truck. Makeup smeared, hair matted, still wearing yesterday's clothes. She found me in the kitchen, calmly eating breakfast and reading the newspaper like it was any other weekend. "We need to talk," she announced, trying to project authority despite looking like an extra from a zombie movie. "Do we?" I didn't look up from the sports section. "I thought we covered everything Friday night. You traded me for a cocktail, remember? Deal's done." "That was a joke, Nick. You know it was a joke." Funny thing about jokes, Becca. They're only funny if everyone's laughing. She sat down across from me, reaching for my hand. I moved it away before she could touch me. "Look, I know I've been difficult lately, but I'm going through something. I'm trying to figure out who I am, what I want from life, the social media thing, the parties. It's all just me trying to find myself. And Richard, is he helping you find yourself too?" Her face went white. "I don't know what you..." 3 months, Becca. 3 months of videos, photos, and messages. You documented everything like you were making a documentary. How I cheated on my husband and got away with it. She stood up so fast her chair fell over. You went through my phone? You left it logged into our TV. Amazing what people share with the cloud these days. You had no right. I had every right. I'm your husband, or was anyway. Hard to tell what I am now that you've traded me for alcohol. She started crying then, the kind of performative tears she used when she wanted something. Please, baby, I made a mistake. I was drunk, I was confused, I didn't mean any of it. Richard doesn't mean anything to me. Does Richard know that? What? Does Richard know he doesn't mean anything to you? Because from the videos, it looked like you two were making some pretty serious plans. Moving in together, taking over the mortgage on this house, starting a new life, that doesn't sound like nothing. She wiped her nose on her sleeve, a gesture that would have horrified her if she'd been sober enough to realize she was doing it. It was just fantasy. Just pillow talk. You know how it is. Actually, I don't. I've never cheated on you, so I don't know how pillow talk with other people works. My phone buzzed. A text from Lana. Richard's at the club, drunk and talking. You might want to get down here. I stood up, grabbing my keys. Where are you going? Becca demanded. Out. Don't wait up. Nick, please, we can work this out. I love you. I stopped at the door and looked back at her. Mascara streaked down her cheeks, hair sticking up at odd angles. Expensive dress wrinkled and stained. She looked exactly like what she was, a woman who'd gambled everything on a sure thing and was just starting to realize she'd been played. You love me? I said. Funny way of showing it. The lantern was busier than usual for a Sunday night. Word had apparently gotten around about Friday's entertainment, and people were hoping for a sequel. I found Richard exactly where Lana had said he'd be, slumped over the bar, 3 sheets to the wind, and running his mouth to anyone who'd listen. Doesn't understand me like she does, he was saying to a guy I recognized from the hardware store. Becca gets it, you know? She gets that a man needs to be appreciated, needs to be worshipped. Her husband never appreciated what he had. That right? The hardware guy said, clearly enjoying the show. Guy's a loser, maintenance worker, blue-collar nobody. Becca deserves better, deserves a man who can provide for her, give her the lifestyle she wants. I slid onto the stool next to him. What kind of lifestyle is that, Richard? He turned, and it took a few seconds for his alcohol-soaked brain to process who was talking to him. When it did, his face went through several interesting expressions. Nick, hey man, look, about Friday night? Yeah, let's talk about Friday night, and Saturday night, and all those other nights over the past 3 months. The bar had gone quiet around us, not dead silent, but quiet enough that everyone could hear what was happening. I think there's been a misunderstanding, Richard said, trying to straighten up on his stool and failing. I don't think so. I think you've been very clear about your intentions. You want my wife, my house, and my life. The question is, what exactly are you offering in return? I can give her things you can't. Such as? Security, success, a real future. I laughed, loud enough that heads turned from across the room. Security? You're 3 months behind on your car payments. Success? You owe Tony Marconi 15 grand. A real future? You're about to lose everything you own. The color drained from Richard's face. How did you... Small town, Richard. Everyone knows everything, including how desperate you are. Lana appeared behind the bar like she'd materialized from thin air. Gentlemen, is there a problem here? No problem, I said. Richard was just explaining to everyone how he's going to provide for my wife. Weren't you, Richard? Richard looked around the bar, suddenly aware that half the town was watching him, listening to every word. His mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. That's what I thought, I said, standing up. Enjoy your drink, Richard. Better make it last. You might not be able to afford many more. I was halfway to the door when he found his voice again. You think you've won something? He called after me. She doesn't love you. She told me she never loved you. You're just a convenience, a paycheck, a placeholder until something better came along. I stopped and turned around. The entire bar was watching now. Phones out, recording everything for posterity. You're right, I said. She doesn't love me. But here's the thing, Richard. She doesn't love you either. You're just the next placeholder. And when she finds out you're broke, when she realizes you can't give her the lifestyle you promised, she'll trade you for something better just like she tried to trade me. I walked back to where he sat, close enough that only he could hear what I said next. The difference is, I actually own my house. I actually have money in the bank. I actually have something to offer. You? You're just a broke real estate agent with a gambling problem and a cocaine habit, trying to steal another man's life because you can't afford your own. Richard swung at me then, a wild, drunken haymaker that missed by 6 inches. He overbalanced and fell off his stool, landing hard on the sticky floor while the crowd erupted in laughter and camera flashes. I looked down at him, sprawled among the peanut shells and spilled beer, and felt something cold and satisfied settle in my chest. See you around, Richard. Oh, and tell Becca I said hello. Monday morning brought consequences. I woke up to find 17 missed calls from Becca, 12 from numbers I didn't recognize, and one from my boss asking if I was planning to come to work today. The video of Richard taking a swing at me and face-planting on the bar floor had gone viral. Not internet-famous viral, but small-town viral, which in some ways was worse. Everyone I'd ever met had seen it, shared it, commented on it. The hardware store guy had posted it with the caption, "When keeping it real goes wrong," and it had been shared over 200 times in 12 hours. But it was the comments that really told the story. Person after person expressing their support for me, their disgust with Becca and Richard, their satisfaction at seeing the cheating wife and her boyfriend get their comeuppance. People I hadn't talked to in years were coming out of the woodwork to share their own stories about seeing Becca around town with Richard, about knowing something was wrong, about feeling bad for me but not knowing what to say. The narrative was writing itself, and I was the hero. I got to work an hour late to find my assistant manager, Tom Bradley, waiting in my office with a cup of coffee and a grin. "Hell of a weekend, boss," he said. "You could say that?" "Whole town's talking about it. My wife saw the video and said it was about time someone put that real estate prick in his place." "Yeah, well, it wasn't exactly planned." "Best ones never are. You doing okay? I mean, with everything?" Tom was a good guy, 25 years old, married to his high school sweetheart, still believed in things like loyalty and commitment, the kind of person I used to be. "I'm fine, Tom. Better than fine, actually." "Good, because we got a call this morning. Becca's been trying to reach you, said it was urgent." "Everything's urgent with Becca. What did she want?" "Didn't say, but she sounded pretty upset." My phone buzzed. Text from Lana. "Richard's car got repossessed this morning. Tow truck took it right out of the club parking lot. Thought you'd want to know?" I showed Tom the message. He whistled low. "Damn, guy really is broke." "Broker than broke, and Becca's about to find out." "What are you going to do?" I thought about it. Becca was probably panicking right now, realizing that her knight in shining armor was actually just another broke loser with expensive tastes. She'd be looking for an exit strategy, a way back to the security she'd thrown away for 3 months of excitement. "I'm going to let her dig her own grave," I said finally. "And then I'm going to hand her the shovel." The call came at lunch. Becca, crying so hard I could barely understand her. "Nick, please, you have to help me. Something's wrong with Richard. He's acting crazy, talking about leaving town, saying we need to disappear together. I'm scared." "Scared of what?" "I think he owes money to bad people. There were men at his apartment this morning. Big men. They were asking about me, about whether I had access to money." Tony's collection crew. Right on schedule. "And what did you tell them?" "Nothing. I didn't tell them anything. But Nick, I think they know about us, about the affair. What if they come after me? What if they think I have Richard's money?" "Do you?" "What? No, I don't have any money. You know that." I did know that. Becca had never worked a real job in her life. Her social media income barely covered her shopping habit, and with her sponsors dropping her, even that was drying up. "Then you don't have anything to worry about." "Please, Nick. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you, but I need your help. I need to come home." "Home?" "Our home. Where I belong. With you." The desperation in her voice was almost pathetic. Almost. "Funny thing, Becca. Friday night you said you were finally free. You said you were going to start your new life. What happened to that?" "I was drunk. I was stupid. I made a mistake." "Which part was the mistake? Trading me for a cocktail or getting caught?" "All of it. Everything. I just want things to go back to the way they were." "They can't." "Why not? We can work through this. Couples survive affairs all the time. We can go to counseling. We can't do anything, Becca. There is no we anymore. You made sure of that." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying you made your choice. You chose Richard. You chose his money, his lifestyle, his promises. You chose to humiliate me in front of the entire town. You chose to document your affair like it was a trophy. You chose to plan stealing my house, my life, everything I worked for." "But he lied to me. He doesn't have money. He can't give me what he promised." "And that's my problem how?" The silence stretched long enough that I thought she'd hung up. When she spoke again, her voice was small, broken. "Because I'm your wife. No, I said quietly. You were my wife. Friday night, you traded that away for a $7 martini. Deal's done. I hung up and turned off my phone. That evening, I met Lana at Murphy's again. She was waiting with a bottle of champagne and a newspaper. Celebrating something? I asked. Read the paper. The headline made me smile. Local real estate agent flees town amid financial scandal. The article detailed Richard's debts, his gambling problems, his sudden departure after threats from unknown individuals. It mentioned his relationship with a local social media personality and suggested that both had been living beyond their means. He's gone? I asked. Packed up and left this afternoon. Didn't even tell Becca. She found out when she went to his apartment and found it empty. How is she taking it? About as well as you'd expect. She's been calling everyone she knows, trying to find somewhere to stay. Turns out most of her friends were really Richard's friends, and they're not interested in helping her now that he's gone. I thought about Becca, alone and desperate, probably sitting in some cheap motel room trying to figure out how her perfect plan had gone so wrong. You feel bad for her, Lana observed. Should I? That's up to you, but remember, she didn't feel bad for you. She was planning to take everything you had and leave you with nothing. The only reason she wants you back now is because her backup plan fell through. She was right. Becca hadn't come crawling back because she loved me or missed me or realized what she'd lost. She'd come back because Richard had turned out to be a fraud, and she needed someone to pay her bills. So what now? I asked. Lana smiled and poured 2 glasses of champagne. Now we finish what she started. The divorce papers were filed Tuesday morning. I'd used the best attorney in town. Ironic, since it was the same guy who'd handled Richard's real estate deals before everything went south. He took one look at the evidence I'd compiled and whistled appreciatively. This is the most documented case of adultery I've seen in 20 years of practice, he said. She filmed everything. It's like she wanted to get caught. Maybe she did. Maybe she thought I'd just roll over and let her have everything. Well, she thought wrong. With this evidence, she'll be lucky to get half of her own clothes, let alone half your assets. The papers were served Wednesday afternoon. Becca was staying at the Riverside Motel, a rundown place on the edge of town that rented rooms by the week to people who'd run out of better options. The process server found her in the parking lot, loading laundry into her car because the motel's machines were broken. She called me within an hour, screaming so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. You bastard! You can't do this to me! I'm your wife! Not for much longer. I'll fight this. I'll get a lawyer. I'll take you for everything you have. With what money? Your sponsors dropped you, Richard's gone, and according to my attorney, adultery isn't exactly a strong position to bargain from in divorce court. You can't prove anything, I laughed. Becca, you filmed yourself committing adultery in our bed multiple times. You documented your affair like you were making a nature documentary. I don't need to prove anything. You already did it for me. The line went quiet except for her breathing. What do you want? She asked finally. Nothing from you. I just want you gone. Gone? Out of my house, out of my life, out of my town. You wanted to trade up, remember? You wanted something better. Go find it. I have nowhere to go. That's not my problem anymore. Please, Nick, I'm begging you. I'll do anything. I'll sign a prenup. I'll give up social media. I'll be the perfect wife. Just don't leave me with nothing. You left yourself with nothing. I'm just making it official. I hung up and blocked her number. Thursday night, Lana and I sat on the roof of the Lantern again, watching the town spread out below us like a circuit board of lights and possibilities. She's been asking around town, Lana said, trying to find someone who'll loan her money for a lawyer. Any takers? What do you think? Everyone's seen the videos, read the articles, heard the stories. She's toxic now. Nobody wants to be associated with her. Good. She came into the club last night. Tried to order a drink. I told her she wasn't welcome. How'd she take that? About as well as you'd expect. Started screaming about how this was all your fault, how you'd turned everyone against her, how she was the victim in all this. The victim. That's what she said. Claimed you were abusive, controlling, that you'd driven her into Richard's arms. I felt something cold and angry twist in my stomach. She said I was abusive? Don't worry, nobody believed her. Hard to play the victim when there's video evidence of you bragging about cheating on your husband. Still, the fact that she'd even... Nick. Lana put her hand on my arm. She's desperate. Desperate people say desperate things. It doesn't mean anything. It means she hasn't learned anything. It means she still thinks this is all happening to her instead of because of her. Some people never learn. They just keep making the same mistakes until there's nothing left to lose. I thought about that. About Becca in her motel room. probably planning her next move, her next angle, her next attempt to make herself the hero of a story where she was clearly the villain. "She's not done," I said. "What do you mean?" "She's not the type to just disappear quietly. She'll try something else, some last-ditch effort to save herself or hurt me or both." "Like what?" "I don't know, but I know her. She can't stand losing, can't stand being seen as the bad guy. She'll try to flip the script somehow." Lana was quiet for a moment, thinking, "What if we don't give her the chance?" "What do you mean?" "What if we end this on our terms, instead of waiting for her to make another move?" "I'm listening." "Saturday night. The club's having its monthly karaoke night. Biggest crowd of the month. Everyone who's anyone will be there." "And?" "And we give them a show they'll never forget." Friday morning, I woke up to find my truck's tires slashed and bastard keyed into the paint on the driver's side door. Becca's final gesture of defiance, I assumed, though I couldn't prove it. Tom helped me get the truck towed to the shop, shaking his head at the damage. "She's really lost it, hasn't she?" "Looks that way." "You pressing charges?" "Can't prove it was her. Besides, I don't think she'll be around much longer to cause more trouble." That afternoon, Lana called with an update. She's been evicted from the motel. Apparently, she couldn't make this week's payment. She's been sleeping in her car in the Walmart parking lot. Jesus. It gets worse. She's been trying to sell her wedding ring, but nobody wants to buy it. Turns out it's not worth as much as she thought. I remembered buying that ring, saving up for months to afford something I thought she'd love. Apparently, it was just another disappointment in a life full of them. Where is she now? Nobody knows. Her car's not at Walmart anymore. Some people think she left town. And you? I think she's planning something big. Tonight's karaoke night, and if I know her type, she won't be able to resist one last grand gesture. Saturday night. The lantern was packed. Word had gotten around about the drama, and everyone wanted to see how the story would end. I arrived early and found Lana behind the bar, looking nervous. "She's here," she said quietly. "Where?" "Back corner booth. She's been nursing the same beer for an hour, just watching everyone." I looked and saw her. Becca, looking like a shadow of her former self. Her hair was unwashed, her makeup smeared, her clothes wrinkled and stained. She looked up and met my eyes across the crowded room, and for a moment I saw something that might have been pain. Then the karaoke started, and the moment passed. The first few singers were the usual suspects. Drunk college kids, middle-aged women reliving their glory days, tone-deaf construction workers trying to impress their girlfriends. The crowd was loose, happy, ready for entertainment. Then Becca stood up. She walked to the stage like she was walking to her own execution, took the microphone with shaking hands, and looked out at the crowd of people who used to be her friends, her neighbors, her audience. "I know what you all think of me," she said, her voice barely audible over the sound system. "I know what I did. I know I hurt people. I know I made mistakes." The room had gone completely silent. Even the bartenders had stopped moving. "But I want you all to know the truth. I want you to know what really happened." She looked directly at me, and her eyes were full of tears and rage and something else I couldn't identify. "My husband destroyed my life because I made one mistake. One moment of weakness, and he turned everyone against me. He took everything I had, everything I was, and he crushed it because his ego couldn't handle being embarrassed." A murmur ran through the crowd. I felt Lana tense beside me. "He's not the victim here. I am. I'm the one who lost everything. I'm the one sleeping in my car, begging for help, watching my life fall apart while he gets to play the hero." She was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks, but her voice was getting stronger. "So, I want you all to see what your hero really is. I want you to see what kind of man destroys his wife's life for revenge." She reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. "This is what Nick Sullivan is really like when nobody's watching." My blood turned to ice. Whatever she was about to show them, it wasn't going to be good. But before she could hit play, Lana stepped onto the stage. "That's enough," she said, taking the microphone from Becca's hands. "You don't get to come into my father's club and lie to these people. You don't get to play victim after what you did." "What I did?" Becca's voice cracked. "What about what he did to me?" "What he did was exactly what you deserved." Lana turned to face the crowd, and when she spoke, her voice carried to every corner of the room. "This woman cheated on her husband for 3 months. She filmed herself doing it. She planned to steal his house, his money, his life. She traded him away like he was garbage, and when her boyfriend turned out to be a fraud, she came crawling back." She turned back to Becca, and her voice was cold as winter. "You made your choice. You chose Richard. You chose to humiliate your husband in front of this entire town. You chose to throw away 20 years of marriage for 3 months of excitement, and when it all fell apart, you chose to blame everyone but yourself. That's not... You want to know what's on that phone? Videos of her cheating, photos of her with Richard, messages planning how to steal Nick's house. She's not showing you evidence of abuse. She's showing you evidence of her own guilt, trying to make you feel sorry for her. The crowd was murmuring now, shifting restlessly. Phones were coming out, recording everything. You had everything, Lana continued. A husband who loved you, a home, a life, and you threw it all away because you thought you deserved better. Well, congratulations. You got what you deserved? Becca stood there for a moment, swaying slightly, looking around at the faces of people who had once been her friends, her followers, her audience. Now they were just strangers, watching her fall apart in real time. She dropped the phone. It hit the stage with a crack, the screen shattering. I loved him, she whispered. No, I said, standing up. You loved what I could give you. There's a difference. She looked at me one last time, and I saw her finally understand that it was over. Really over. No more chances, no more schemes, no more ways to make herself the hero of the story. She walked off the stage and out of the club without another word. I never saw her again. The divorce was finalized 3 weeks later. Becca didn't contest it, didn't hire a lawyer, didn't even show up to court. She signed the papers and disappeared, leaving behind nothing but a forwarding address in another state and a pile of bills I wasn't responsible for. Lana and I started dating officially a month after that, not because she was my rebound or because I needed someone to fill the void Becca had left, but because she was smart and funny and real in a way that Becca had never been. 6 months later, I sold the house. Too many bad memories, too much history. I bought a smaller place across town, and Lana moved in with me. We're talking about marriage, about kids, about building something real together. Sometimes people ask me if I feel bad about what happened to Becca, if I think I went too far, if I regret how it all played out. The answer is no. She made her choice when she decided I was worth less than a cocktail. She made her choice when she filmed herself cheating in our bed. She made her choice when she planned to steal everything I'd worked for. I just made sure she lived with the consequences. You want to trade someone away like they're garbage? Fine. But don't expect them to be there when your better deal falls through. Don't expect them to catch you when you fall. And don't expect anyone to feel sorry for you when you end up with exactly what you deserve.